Okay, this video is Module 1, Section 1, but we're going to cover specifically Objectives 3, 4, and 5. Okay, right in the middle of all of those. Okay, Objective 3 is to write whole numbers in expanded form. Okay, in order to do this, you need to remember the chart that we had in the last video, so the one that showed the different periods of the different numbers. Okay, I'm sorry that's a little bit on an angle, but you get the idea. So this is where we're talking about the different periods, and each period had 3 places. And if you remember, we talked about this is the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place of each one of these different periods, right? So just randomly choosing one, this spot right here, this number is in the 100 millionths place. This number is in the 10 thousandths place. Okay? All right, so we're going to consider the number they gave us, but we want to use base 10 blocks to create that number. Now, if you remember, we had our ones, our rods, our flats, and our cubes. And that's as many as we had. So our cubes were the thousands, right? So our cubes are right here. We have 116 cubes. And then the 042 fits down here. Let me put all of them in here. Okay, so we have 116 thousandths, which represents the cube. So this would be our flats. This would be our rods. And this is our units. Okay, so describe how you'd represent it. That's what it is right there. Okay, so you would have 116 cubes, 4 rods, and 2 units. Okay, then it wants you to write out the value of each block using an equation. Okay, that's the expanded form that we were talking about, and that's why we're talking about expanded form here. Okay, so let's do that as 116,000 plus, now we don't need to worry about the hundreds because there are no hundreds, right? Right here, there are no hundreds, so there are no flats. So now we have 4 rods, or 4 tens, so which is 40, and then the 2 ones, which is just 2. And remember, that's an expression, so now we have to actually add them up and see what we get. And that is the number that we wanted. So it's 116,042. Okay, now when you write out the value of each digit or base 10 block, you're writing a number in expanded form. And we talked about that, right? So on this part, you need to determine if their expanded form is right. Okay, and this can get a little confusing, so let's only look at one of these at a time. When you see all of those numbers and zeros, and they tend to move around a little bit sometimes, don't they? Okay, so first one. So this number right here. Start with the 2. And that's the 2. That's easy. Okay, the 7 is a 70. That's fine. The 8 is in the hundreds place. 800. 9 is in the thousands. Sure enough. 3 is in the 10,000s, so that represents 3 tens, or 30,000. And the 1 is in the 100,000s, so there's 100,000. And that one's fine. Okay, so this one is true. Okay, the next one. starting with the 0 is in the ones place, so we don't have any ones, notice down here. So the 7 is in the tens, so 7 times 10 is 70. The 5 is in the hundreds, so 5 times 100 is 500. Oh, and they have 5,000, don't they? So that one's wrong. Okay, so this part right here should be 500 instead. And you don't have to fix it, but you do have to justify. Okay, so me changing it like that is justification. Okay, so it's false. So you could justify it by saying they counted the 5 in the thousands place instead of the hundreds place or something like that. Okay? All right, the next one. Whoops, dropped the pen. So this part, they just flipped it. Oh, they've done all kinds of weird stuff, haven't they? Okay, so let's rewrite this as a number and rewrite this as a regular number. So we're going to go back to regular form instead of expanded form and see what we get. Okay, so 50,000, and there's a 5,000. So that's going to be 55,000 and then 500. Okay, on the other side we have 500,000, a 5, and a 50. So 500,000. Now the 5 goes in the ones place, and this 5 is in the tens place. So are those two the same? Absolutely not, are they? So this is false. Okay, and the last one here. Okay, so 900,000, 50,000, and 2,000. So this is 952,000. And this gives you 950,000 and 2,000. So 952,000. Are these the same? Yep. So that one's true. Okay, now working sideways like I've been doing on these, because that's how they're written, I don't like to do that. Okay, I like to work up and down. So let me show you the purple one, for example. Okay, so the third one. If I have 50,000 and I want to add 500, remember we're going to line them up at the left. Well, try it again, on the right, not the left. And now the next one is really bad writing here, sorry guys. And add them up. See how that's much easier to come up with that answer because you can visually add straight down the columns. Where here you're trying to figure out which one goes where, right? Okay, so let's do the other side. So 500, 0, 000. Lining it up at the right, so we have a 5 and we have a 50. Okay, so 5, 5, 0, 0, 0, and a 5. Okay, so let's do the blue one again. So we have 900,000, add 50,000, add 2,000. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, you can see those. And now 0, 0, and 2 is 2. 0 and 5 is 5, and then the 9 comes down. So 952. Okay, now the other side. So 950,000 and 2,000. So you can see how these line up a lot better that way, can't you? 0 plus 2 is 2. 5 comes down. 9 comes down. And these are the same. Okay, this one, they want you to write it out in expanded form. Okay, so let's take a look at theirs first. So 3 is in the hundreds, so that's 3 times 100, 300. 5 is in the tens, so 5 times 10 is 50. And then 2 is the units, so it just comes down. Okay, so 42 is in the thousands period, so we have 10,000. So 4 times 10,000 is 40,000. 2 times 1,000 is 2,000. 7 is in the hundreds place, so we get 700. 0 is in the tens, and notice they didn't put anything here because it's 0. If you put a 0 in there, it wouldn't be wrong, but you don't need it. Okay, 6 ones gives you 6. And again, if Canvas marks it wrong because you did that, it's just not programmed to look for it because you just don't do it. However, it is not wrong, and if you miss it for that reason, let me know and we can work out a score change for you. Okay, let's look over here at ours. So we want to write these out in expanded form. So 7 is in the hundreds place. So 7 times 100 is 700. 8 is in the tens place. So 8 times 10 is 80. And then 4. And you're done. Okay, next one. All right, we got to figure out what numbers are in what places, right? So that's the ones, the thousands, the millions. And in the millions, we have hundreds, tens, and ones, right? So that's 500 million. Okay, so 500 million plus 1 million. Oh, I didn't get enough zeros, did I? Let's go back. That was 1,000, not million. There we go. Plus 1 million plus, now I'm not going to be able to fit mine in here, so I'm going to go on to the next line. Now this next period is the thousands, and 6 is in the tens place of the thousands period. So it's 6 times 10,000, or 60,000, plus, and now the 4 is in the hundreds place, so it's 400. Okay, this next example is kind of like what we just did. It's just filling in the blanks. Okay, so they've started it for you. You just need to figure out what's missing. So the 4 is the 4,000. So now we're going to add. We need to figure out what place the 5 is in. It's in the hundreds, so we have 500, which is what they got. And then the 3 is in the ones place, so it's just 3. Okay, and then they want you to write it out in words. So 5 thousands, 5 hundreds, 3 ones. Okay, that's not the number itself. That's just the different parts of the number. Okay, so this next one, notice they did 50,000, 9,000, 400, and the 1 was already there. Okay, it's just like the last problem, so I'm not going to go into too much detail again. Now we have 5 10,000s, 9,000s, 400s, and 1 1. Okay, let's do ours. So the 8 is in place for the 800. So let's work on the 9. So 9 is in the thousands place, right? So that's 9,000. Now we have 2 6s. So the first 6 is in the tens place, so that's 60. And the second 6 is in the ones place, so that's just a 6. All right, so now we have 9 thousands, 8 hundreds, 6 tens, and 6 ones. So basically, if you were going to build it with your base 10 blocks, what would you be using? Okay, so you'd have 9 of the cubes for these. you would have 8 of the flats, 6 of the rods, and 6 of the units. Okay, now let's look at this next one. Okay, so they have the ones already in place right there, and it's in the hundred thousandths place, so that one's done. You also see the 4 is done. It's in the hundreds place. Okay, so we need to do the 2. So 2 is in the 10,000s, right? So 2 times 10 is 20. So it's the 20,000. And then the 9 is in the tens place. So 9 times 10. And instead of putting it down here, I'm going to put it over here where it belongs. Okay, plus 90. So let's write that one out. We have 100,000. There we go. 2 10,000s. Now don't forget, you're doing the ones that they had already done. You have to do each one of them. So 4 hundreds and 9 tens. Okay, this is objective 4. Given the standard form, or digits, of a whole number, read and write in words. And that first sentence, it's like, if you've ever written a check, you have to write it out in words. And it's interesting how that's the hard part. And most people don't write checks anymore, so that doesn't really apply to many people. So, here we go. Name a whole number in words. 1, starting at the digit on the left, name the number in each period, followed by the period name. Do not include the period name for the ones period. And 2, use commas in the number to separate the periods. Okay, so 2-digit numbers greater than 20, such as 28, are hyphenated. And we'll go over all of this when I do some examples for you. Okay, note, and is used to notate the decimal place and should not be used in writing out a whole number. Okay, and I'll show you that too when we get to a few of them. Okay, example 6. Write it out in words. So you're going to start with the digit on the left. Okay, so we're starting this way. It's just you read from the left. You're going to read numbers for the left, or from the left. It's just how you read. You just go straight across. Okay, so 7 is in the hundreds place, right? So we have 700. Okay, notice that is the incorrect part, and I'll explain that here. 16 is how you say that last part, right? You're not going to say 10, 6. It's 16. So 716 is correct. 716 is what most people say, although that is technically incorrect. And is where your decimal goes in a number, like 7 and 16 hundredths. But that's not what we're doing here. Okay, so no ands in this one. Okay, now these are kind of shoved right next to each other, so I'm going to put a little divider line in here. Whoops, and I missed it too, see? Okay, right there. All right, so we're going to start here from the left. We're going to start with the 4. 4 and the 5 are in the second period. Here's the first period. Okay, so they're in the thousands period. So you read that as 45,000. Okay, so 45,000. Now, 803 is what we generally say, but we need to say it correctly. So it's 803. There's no 10, so it's just 803. See? All right, let's do ours. So, starting from the left, 9 is to the left of the comma, so that's in the thousands, right? Okay, so this is the thousands period. So that means it's 9,000. Wow, bad writing. Let me get rid of that and try it again. So 9,000 Now where the number has commas, you're going to put a comma. Okay, so now this last part, that's just 30. You don't say 0, 100, 30, okay, or 0, 100, 30, 0. No, you just read the number as 30. So there you go, 9,000, and I don't need the S there, right? 9,000, see if I can erase that. Wah, nope, we'll fix it here in a minute. Okay, so 9,000, comma, 30. Okay, and the last one here. So these are the ones, the thousands, the millions. So we're in the millions place. So this is 60 million. Comma, 113. So 113 and thousands, right? Because that's your thousands period. And now 581, not 581. Okay, so 500. Now this is where the hyphenated part comes. 580-1. Okay, so this kind of puts it together as 81. If I would have had 81, that looks like this. That's just how I think of it. It helps me remember it a little bit better. The hyphen connects them together into one number. Okay, example 7. So we're going to start from the left. This is in the thousands period. So we're going to say this number and then 1,000. So this is 504,000. And then 812. Okay, the next one. Starting from this side, so there's the ones, thousands, millions. This is in the billions. So that's 8,591,000,000. Notice the hyphen right here to make it a 91. 32,006. Can you hear my cat in the background? Sorry about that. Okay, let's do ours. So here's the ones, here's the thousands. So that's 12,000, right? So 12,000, comma. Now we have 982. So 980-2. And you're done. Okay, last one. So from the left, there's the ones, the thousands, the millions. So this is 3 million. And then this number here, remember the 0 is like a placeholder. You don't say 0, 132. It's just 32. And it's hyphenated to make it a single word or single number. 32,000, comma, 197. Okay, now we're going to go backwards. So when you're given a whole number written in words, you need to write it in standard form using digits. Now here it's really important important to put a 0 for missing place values. And like we've talked about already, commas after each period. Okay, now the zeros go in, I call them placeholders, and you'll see that here in just a minute. Okay, so identify the word that indicates the period, and remember, 1's period is never named. You draw 3 blanks to indicate the number of places needed in each period, and you separate the period by commas. Name the number in each period and place the digits in the correct value position. Blah, right? It'll make sense when we do them. Here we go. Now on theirs, you can see that they've just gotten the answer. You didn't see the 3 blanks and all that kind of stuff, so I'm going to do that down here. Okay, so we have 301,000. So thousands means we have a period of 3 places. So then we have 3 more after it. Okay, so 301,000. So 301. We don't have any 10s, do we? So we need a placeholder. And then let's go back to 270. So 270. Drawing the blanks help you get things organized. Hopefully you'll eventually be able to get rid of that step, but if you need it, by all means, use it. Okay, so 43 million, so we have millions place already. Okay, so 43 million. Do I need a 0 here as a placeholder? No, because it's the beginning of the number. You don't ever use those. When we get into decimals, we'll talk about it, but for right now, no. The whole numbers, you don't ever lead off with a 0. Okay, back to the top. 564. Notice there's no period, so that's the units period. So that's all the way down here. 564. So we need some placeholders. And we can see we got what they did. Okay, and the last one here. 182 million. Okay, so we have the millions place, the thousands place, actual period though, not place, right? So the millions period, the thousands period, and the ones period. Okay, so 182 million. 312,000. 377. Whoops, 337. There you go, and we got what they did. Okay, so I'm going to do them this way, putting the little placeholders, spaces, so that kind of makes it easier, I think. So here we go. First one, D. 2,000. So there's our thousands period and our ones period. But we only need the 2, don't we? And then 289 fits right there. So if it bugs you to have the spaces underlined, you can rewrite it if you'd like. Okay, the next one. 637,000. That tells you our period. So we have the thousands. And you can see the comma is kind of a giveaway there too. Okay, so 637. And then 54 all by itself, so that goes here. And now we have a place value, or placeholder of a 0. So 637,054. Okay, so 13 billion, comma. We have billions, millions, thousands, and ones. Okay, so we have 13 billion, 273,000. Okay, so we're going to come all the way down to here. 740. So we need some placeholders. I'm not going to rewrite that one because I'm out of space. Okay, last one. 740 million, comma. Okay, so that's our millions, thousands, units, or ones. So 740 million, 306. So 306. We have no tens on that one. 557. And there you go. Okay, this little chart might seem a little daunting. It looks worse in your packet. I had to put those vertical lines in it to make it less crazy for me. Okay, so we're just going to look at one row at a time. Okay, so let's start with this top row. Okay, so 273. We have 2 hundreds, 7 tens, and 3 ones. Expanded form, 200 plus 70 plus 3. Word form is 273, so we're going to hyphenate it. And there you go. So we're going to do each one of those sections like that. Okay, so each time they give you a different portion. So here they give you standard form, and so we needed to do the other 3. Now they're going to give you the place value form, so you have to do the other 3. Here they give you the expanded form, do the other 3, and here they do the word form, do the other 3. Okay, let's do this. So the second row we have, oh, I put my numbers above it and they put their numbers below it, didn't they? Okay, doesn't matter how you do it. Okay, so 5 thousands. I'm going to do the expanded form next. So we have 5 thousands, no hundreds, 9 tens, so there's a 90, and 5 ones, so that's 5. Okay, now if you want to do it like we talked about before and line it up and down so you can see how they line up, that might be helpful for doing your standard form. So that's 5, 0, 9, 5, and we add it up, right? Now sometimes they leave the comma there out. If it's a 4-digit number, it is common to leave the comma out. So you can have it or you don't need to have it. It's absolutely fine either way. Okay, so our word form is 5,000, comma, 95. Okay, all right, next line. We have 8,332. Wow. Okay, so 8,332, which means 8,332, which means you're saying it the same way every time. You're just putting it in a different form. So 8,000, comma, 300, hyphen 2, because it's 32, right? Very good. Next one. Okay, 43,000, we're down here, 43,914. So we have 43,900 Okay, now 14, you have 1 10 and 4 ones, right? Because that gives you your 14. So 43,914. Now I'm going to do expanded form just with the thousands because that's as far as they got. So I'm going to do 43,000 plus 900 plus 10 plus 4. Although it could be 40,000 plus 3,000 plus 900 plus 10 plus 4. In fact, this is the absolute correct way of writing it. And I'm pretty certain that's how Canvas is going to want it. So this 43 needs to be broken down a little bit further. Okay, now you see we have one row left. That's because on the last row, choose your own number. Okay, so just play around with something. I would suggest throwing a 0 in someplace because that's what tends to mess people up. And see what you can do with it. And that finishes our Module 1, Section 1, Objectives 3, 4, and 5.